you here today?
Yes.
I'm Taylor Fretzel, and I'm a social worker at the Department of Children and Youth. And I'm here today just to talk about a referral we got concerning the safety of your children. Would you mind if you come in and talk for a little while?
Yeah, sure.
Great. Thank you so much. Wow, your space is so open. I love it.
Thank you.
Where'd you get those paintings?
We just got them. I just got them from around town.
Okay.
You know.
Is it okay if I sit here?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fine. Great.
Thank you. So you got it around town somewhere?
I like thrift shopping, so like Goodwill, places like that. Nothing too expensive.
Yeah, I love Goodwill. Always have some great finds there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, good. So, like I said, my name's Taylor Gressel, and I'm the social worker at the Department of Children and Youth. Would you like to go by anything other than Tara?
Tara's fine. Everyone calls me Tara.
And we're here just to talk about the safety of your children today.
Yeah.
So your role today is just to be as open and honest as you can with me about the different topics that we cover. And anything that you say is going to be kept confidential unless you pose a threat to yourself or to your children. So do you have any questions going forward?
No. Where did you say you're from again?
I'm from the Department of Children and Youth.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay. So why don't we start with talking about your children. So tell me a little bit more about your two girls.
Well, I have two little girls. They're quite young. I think they're 3 and 1.5. But they're growing up so quickly. I just love them so much. Their father's not really around, but they definitely are great children anyways.
Yeah. That's great. So you're managing being a single mom to two young girls. So tell me a little bit more about your daily schedule with the girls.
Well, they're at home most of the time, so that's basically they're in my care. So I wake them up in the morning, make sure they're well fed, brush their teeth, give them their showers and everything. I really try to make sure that they're, well taken care of. I'm by myself, so it's kind of hard to keep two little girls out of trouble, but yeah, so I make sure they're well fed. Sometimes my mom comes to help and my sisters, but it's mostly us. They usually have lunch too and dinner. I don't let them watch too much TV. I don't want them to be too influenced, the world we live in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're just great girls, and they're easy to handle most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they sound really active, and your parents are really involved, which is great. One thing that you did mention was that it's hard to keep them out of trouble sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I understand what that means, so would you mind telling me, or tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, they're young girls, and so they're out and about throughout the house, and accidents happen, so every now and then I'll hear, a crash or something, and they scraped a knee or, cut a finger, but usually it's not anything too bad, but it's just, since it's only me, it's hard to keep track of everything that's going on, but most of the time they're safe and they're fine.
Yeah. So most of the time it's just little scrapes or little bruises on their bodies. We did get notified that there was a bigger bruise on one of your girls' arms.
Oh, wow.
So tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, I don't know what time that was, but I just know that they're constantly getting hurt and bumps and stuff like that, running into things. I mean, there's so many things around the house. We try to childproof it so that way it's not too many dangers. But kids, they always find a way. But I don't know. It must have been maybe falling out of bed or tripping down the stairs, something like that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I did notice something a couple weeks ago, but she just told me that like she fell, but besides that, I don't know of anything else really. It's big or major.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that we talked a little bit about maybe some injuries, let's talk a little bit about the people who may be watching your kids on a daily basis while you're working. So why don't you tell me a little bit more about those people?
Okay. Like I said, it's mainly me. I have to take care of them myself most of the time because they're my responsibility. And then my mom is around a lot too. She loves the kids. So every now and then when I have to work, and I have to work often, usually at nights, but whenever I have to work, usually my mom stays here or like my sisters. We do have a couple babysitters, but it's really pricey, and I just usually can't afford it. And since I have my mom and my sisters, I usually don't have to have a babysitter that often. But I think we're like the main people that are around. Their father's not around, like I said, so it's mainly me.
I'm sorry to hear that the father's not in the picture. I know that that can be really hard for a lot of moms, but it sounds, but you're managing pretty well without him, with your parents and with your sisters as well. So that's a great support that you have watching them and different babysitters. With the relationships that we just talked about, tell me a little bit more about the interactions that they have with your children.
My mom's here more often than anyone else besides me. But I know that she loves the girls. She would never harm them. But yeah, so she's here most often. I work at nights, like I said. Usually I tuck them in bed and make sure they're fed. And then by that time, my mom shows up to start taking care of them from there. I usually work through the night. I come back in the morning, and my mom usually just stays the night here whenever I have those long hours. If my mom can't, then I have my sisters, but they don't watch the kids as much as my mom does. I really trust my sisters, though. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, they're the ones that are around the kids after me, and then my mom. They're the next people I usually contact. But so far, like I've never seen anything wrong happen, like with any of them. And then I have my two babysitters. They're younger. I can't afford to have the luxury of having high-paid babysitters, so they're quite young. I have one high schooler and one girl who's like about to enter into college. But I think I trust them. But I mean, you never know in this day and age. I mean, things can always go wrong. And you think you trust people, but you're not sure. But yeah, so as of right now, I trust my babysitters, but you never know.
A lot of moms who are in your situation find it hard to trust, and I'm so sorry that that's a reality, but you're not alone in that. There are some resources that we have available if you want to look into maybe some babysitters that are on budget.
Definitely.
I have here a list of things you can go through, but a lot of the churches have some resources, some daycare that's pretty much free, so we can try to hook you up with that if you're interested.
Definitely, yes, that would be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Tell me how you feel about that.
Well, I'm a Christian, so I definitely would trust my children in the care of a church. That would make me feel much more at ease than any other option. Right now, it's just so hard because I do not make enough money to squander on anything, even babysitters. So if I knew that my kids were safe in like a church atmosphere, I would love that. But most of the ones I've seen, they're so expensive, and I just can't afford it. But if there's an option out there for me that is free or very minimalistic, I would definitely look into it.
I'm glad to hear that you're so supportive of your girls and their safety, because it is important to keep your girls safe and to keep them in good care. So I appreciate that understanding you have of that. So now that we talked a little bit about your children, let's talk a little bit about you as a parent. So tell me about your parenting skills.
Well, as you can tell, I became a mother at a really young age. I was definitely not prepared for it. Life came at me all at once. But I've grown a lot, and I've learned a lot. It's been a hard road, and at times I feel so alone, especially with having two daughters. Like, my mother was a great mother, but I don't know if I would ever be able to reach her standards. And I don't know, it happened all at once, like I said, so I'm just taking everything one day at a time, and it gets so hard with having such a job that doesn't pay very much, so I'm usually scraping by, just barely making it. And I want so much for my daughters, but at this point in time, I feel like I just can't give them as much as I want to. I mean, I can't even pay for a babysitter sometimes. It's really hard, and sometimes I just have to, like, give up things myself just so that the girls can have a better life. It's just really hard.
Mm-hmm. It can be really lonely at times, you mentioned. I'm sorry that you feel that way. There are definitely some support groups that, if you're wanting to kind of deal with that loneliness or talk with other single moms who are in the same situation, you can definitely get hooked up with those. And I have these names and numbers that you can contact on this list that I'm going to give you at the end. So that's definitely an option that we can get you involved with.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I also understand that it is hard to be on such a budget. So tell me a little bit more about the effects that has on your children.
Well, clothing is one thing. We definitely barely ever are able to get anything from any store besides Goodwill. Like I said, for the paintings, we have to go to Goodwill quite a lot. You can find some good things, but sometimes I just wish I could give my daughters so much more. They're definitely at the age where they're in school or about to be in school, and I know they're going to be surrounded by so many children that just have so much more than they do, and I just don't want them to have to realize that they don't have as much as other people. And I know in our day and age, even the way you dress can just so greatly impact you, even as a child. And I'm just so sad because I know that I can't afford expensive places or even to buy them brand new outfits. So that's one thing. It's just hard. And then food. We have to go to food pantries, but sometimes the food is just not that great, and it's very limited. And I would rather go to churches that I don't know any in the area that have free food or like reasonable prices. So sometimes nutrition is just hard to keep track of, and food is so expensive, especially healthy food. I would love to be able to give them fruits and vegetables, but sometimes it's just too pricey, and we have to go with microwavable meals. And I know that that's just not enough. It's just so hard.
Being on budget with food is definitely hard. I can attest to that as well. It's very hard to pay for those nice, nutritious meals. Tell me a little bit more about the diet of your children.
I really try to make it as healthy as possible. I know oatmeal and meat and protein are so important. So every now and then I try to make good hearty meals, but it's just so expensive that sometimes we just, like I said, we have to settle for like microwavable meals. And I know that's just not the right nutrition they need, especially at this age. They're so young, and they're at the age where they're just now growing, and it's so vital for them to have good meals. But we just can't afford it, so sometimes we just have to settle for things that aren't as nutritious in turn for them to be full at night. I just wish I could give them so much more, but I just don't have it. My job doesn't pay, their father doesn't pay for child support half the time, and it's just so hard. My mom helps out when she can. Actually, she's a great support system. Sometimes she comes home with meals for the kids at night. She comes before supper time instead of after, and makes us all a meal, and that's so greatly appreciated. But that's not every day. It's just hard.
Food is a real concern for your family, then there are definitely some resources available to you, and right here I have some highlighted. One is called the Family Nutrition Plan, and it provides nutrition education and tips on buying and preparing food on budget, which really seems like it could, have a positive effect on your family, because the proper nutrition is really important for your children and for yourself as well, for self-care. So that's something we can definitely look into, as well as WIC, which provides assistance with food for you, the mom, and education on nutrition as well. So those are things that we can look into. Tell me a little bit more about how you feel about that.
I would definitely be willing to look into these things. I've never been one to turn down help. It's just sometimes it's harder to find it, if that makes sense. I mean, people don't come knocking at your door just asking to give you food. So now that I know that there's opportunities out there, I would definitely look into them. Like I was saying, I just want what's best for my daughters, and if this is it, I would be willing to look into it and just be able to give them the chance to grow and be healthy and have better lives than they are right now, it seems.
Well, these resources are definitely available for you. The phone numbers and things are on here, and you can call right after this if you want to get these things readily available to yourself. So now that we kind of discussed the food issue as well as on budget, and we talked a little bit about the supports and your children's activities on a daily basis, we have about 5 minutes left, so is there anything else you would like to discuss?
I think that's good. For WIC, Marion, Indiana, would I just go in there and just ask them, like, what do I say when I walk in?
So you can call them and tell them your situation, and I can actually help. I can send in some of the initial reports to them, and then we can get you started that way. So I'm going to help you all along the way with that. So if you have any questions, feel free to call me, and I'll definitely be there for you.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
I think that's the only question I have.
Okay, great. Well, with that,
do you need this, or can I?
You can keep that. There are a lot of resources available for you in there if you ever need any. You can always contact me. Feel free to.
Thank you so much.
So thank you for letting me come in and talk. I'm so glad that you were able to do this. So where are your girls today?
Right now they're at a friend's house.
Yeah.
They decided to stay the night, but they'll be back home shortly.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that sounds fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was great to meet you.
Great to meet you too.
And
what was your name again?
My name's Taylor.
Taylor. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll definitely be contacting you for the babysitting and the food.
Okay, great. Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
You too.
That was a little rough. I'm sorry.